Brain. So in this we will study the competency, that is external features and internal features of midbrain. Mesencephalon or mesencephalon are also called as midbrain is a narrow band of brainstem surrounding the cerebral aqueduct. Midbrain extends from diencephalon to the pons. The dorsal aspect of the midbrain is known as tectum. It incorporates paired superior and inferior colliculi, also known as corpora quadrigemina. Corpora quadrigemina. Geniculate bodies. These structures are associated with lateral and medial geniculate bodies, respectively. They are associated with visual and auditory functions. So that is superior colliculus and inferior colliculus are associated with lateral and medial geniculate bodies, respectively, and are associated with visual and auditory functions. Tegmentum. Trochlear nerve exists the dorsal aspect of midbrain just below the inferior colliculus, whereas all of the cranial nerves exit the ventral aspect of brainstem. The region of midbrain below the cerebral aqueduct is known as midbrain tegmentum, or the region ventral to the cerebral aqueduct can also be called as tegmentum. Interpeduncular fossa. The cerebral hemispheres are connected to the brainstem by two large fiber tracts called as cerebral peduncles. So interpeduncular fossa is a depression between the peduncles and is known as interpeduncular fossa. It is also the site of origin of oculomotor nerve. So coming to the boundaries of the interpeduncular fossa, anteriorly it is optic chiasma and optic tracts. Laterally it is by crus cerebri and posteriorly by the pons. Coming to the contents, most anteriorly it is tuber cinereum, followed by two mammillary bodies and posterior perforated substance, and also oculomotor nerve. So this is a picture showing the interpeduncular fossa. So the boundaries anteriorly optic chiasma and optic tract, posteriorly by the pons, laterally by crus cerebri. The contents include tuber cinereum anteriorly, mammillary bodies and posterior perforated substance, and the oculomotor nerve. Another competency is internal features of midbrain at the level of superior and inferior colliculus. So this is the section showing the at the level of superior colliculus. So in this you can see the superior colliculus, then the oculomotor nerve, cerebral aqueduct, then substantia nigra, crus cerebri, red nucleus, and the ascending tracts, that is medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus and spinal lemniscus. So we start with the different structures seen in the or seen at the level of inferior colliculus. Inferior colliculus is relay station for hearing. Medial longitudinal fasciculus, it carries fibers that coordinate the movement of our eyes, head and neck as we respond to visual or auditory stimuli. Then another structure we see is medial lemniscus, which relays sensations of touch and proprioception and also vibration. Touch is fine touch. Another content is substantia nigra. Substantia nigra synthesizes chemical neurotransmitter called as dopamine. And dopamine is involved in producing smooth motor activity. And it is also involved in brain's motivation and reward systems, and therefore more of dopamine can result in addictions. Dopamine is also necessary for attention, a major requirement for learning and reaching rewards. So it helps in motivation and keeping us attentive. Then there is one more, dorsal raphe nucleus. So this dorsal raphe nucleus is one of the groups of nerve cells that produce the serotonin in midbrain. This dorsal raphe nucleus is located in the or between the pairs of medial longitudinal fasciculus. Then we come to discuss internal features at the level of inferior colliculus. The cavity is cerebral aqueduct. The nuclei we find here are substantia nigra, mesencephalic nucleus, inferior colliculus, and trochlear nucleus. Coming to motor tracts, the motor tracts are corticospinal tract, corticonuclear tract, temporopontine, frontopontine, and medial longitudinal bundle. And coming to sensory tracts, that in short we can call as MTSL. So they stand for medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, spinal lemniscus, and lateral lemniscus. And apart from that, there is also decussation of superior cerebellar peduncles, that is, it can be seen in the tegmental part. Then we go to study the internal features at the level of superior colliculus. The cavity is cerebral aqueduct. Nuclei include substantia nigra, mesencephalic nucleus, superior colliculus, oculomotor nerve nucleus, the related nucleus of oculomotor, that is Edinger-Westphal nucleus, and also the red nucleus. Motor tracts. The motor tracts are corticospinal, corticonuclear, temporopontine, frontopontine, and medial longitudinal bundle, and also decussation of rubrospinal. Then we have sensory tracts. Here in short they can be called as MTS. That MTS full form is medial lemniscus, trigeminal lemniscus, and spiral lemniscus. Then we go on to study another competency, that is anatomical basis and effects of Benedict's and Weber syndrome. Weber syndrome was described by the German physician Weber in 1863. The clinical findings of the classic Weber syndrome include ipsilateral oculomotor nerve palsy and contralateral limb weakness due to a lesion in the midbrain. Coming to oculomotor nerve, it supplies most of the muscles of the eye. The motor nucleus of this nerve is located at the upper level of the brainstem. Nerve fascicles run forward and laterally through the red nuclei and get closer at the interpeduncular fossa. So the nuclei and fascicles of the oculomotor nerve are expanding in a relatively wide area within the midbrain. Therefore, midbrain lesions generally lead to even partial third nerve palsy. The preganglionic parasympathetic fibers of the oculomotor nerve are transported by nerve to the inferior oblique muscle. They arrive at the ciliary ganglion. Postganglionic parasympathetic fibers emerge, supply ciliary muscle, and muscles of iris are innervated by postganglionic parasympathetic fibers. Nerve fibers to levator palpebrae muscle and pupillary constrictor fibers for the muscles of the iris are located in the superficial and dorsal portion on the nerve supplying to ciliary ganglion. There are some first signs of the oculomotor nerve palsy. Before external ophthalmoplegia develops, a fixed dilated pupil is often the first sign of third nerve compression, and ptosis is the second one. In patients with isolated midbrain infarct, the critical picture is dominated by nuclear or fascicular third nerve palsy and contralateral motor deficits. That is Weber syndrome. Then we go to Benedict syndrome. Benedict syndrome or paramedian midbrain syndrome. It is midbrain stroke syndrome. It involves fascicles of oculomotor nerve and the red nucleus. Its clinical presentation is ipsilateral third nerve palsy, crossed hemiataxia, and crossed chorioathetosis. It is usually caused by an ischemic stroke, typically involving the branches of posterior cerebral arteries. Radiographic features using imaging alone is difficult to distinguish Benedict syndrome from Weber syndrome unless clear involvement of red nucleus can be identified, which is seen in the Benedict syndrome. So Benedict syndrome includes oculomotor nucleus and the red nucleus. It was first described by Benedict in the year 1889.